Greatest leadership role model ever? Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you Jesus of Nazareth as a leader worth following, without a formal title, without a position, without ever having written a book. He set in motion a movement that turned the world upside down, a movement with global proportions that is continuing to this day, and one that is going to reverberate into the future. Furthermore, I believe that Jesus' model of leadership is relevant for our businesses, for our nonprofits, for our families, and for our communities. And now more than ever, as we face uncertainty, we need his model to lead us into the future. Jesus was a serving leader. He served a purpose higher than himself. His mission was to serve others while having no official authority. He had a greater authority than the leaders of his day. Why? Because he was someone worth following. Someone worth following. Spent 30 years in obscurity in the backwater town of Nazareth, and yet, developing his character, becoming a person of integrity, following his Father's will, he became someone who changed the entire future for our world. He's a person worth following. The last 3 years of his life, built on the first 30, changed the course of our history. John Ortberg once asked a great question. He said, if you were a betting person 2,000 years ago, who would you have put your money on? Would you have put it on the Roman army and the powerful emperor, or this Jewish carpenter from Nazareth? Now think about that for a moment. Which system of leadership would you have bet on? And then Ortberg made this observation. He said, isn't it interesting that here we are 2,000 years later, naming our kids Pete, Jim, and John, and our dogs Nero and Caesar. Now, if I told you today that you can lead, love, and serve like Jesus, a lot of you would probably say to me, no way, I'm not Jesus. He was God. And there's just simply no way I can lead like Jesus. In fact, many of you here probably believe he came into this world wearing a t-shirt that proclaimed, I am. Deal with it. Or maybe you believe he came into this world with a God card in his back pocket, and when things got really tough, he just simply pulled it out and jumped into Superman mode. Now, as I'm going to unpack for you in just a few moments, yes, Jesus was like one of us. Oh yes, he was God. He was the great I am. But during his time on the planet, Scripture tells us that he limited himself. He put his God abilities on the shelf, if you will, and modeled for us what it really means to be truly human. I want to talk about what it means to be truly human today, made in the image of God as we were truly designed to be. And that brings us to a discussion on our identity and our self-worth. And therefore, a theology lesson is in order. Now, I realize most of you didn't sign up for a theology lesson today. You came to a business conference, but we're going to do theology. Is that okay? Is it okay? All right, we're going to go back to the very beginning of time, to the basis, to the theology of serving leadership, because here's what's so important to understand. I can talk to you about serving leadership. And yes, it is the greatest and the latest in the world of business leadership. Many businesses claim it as their operating software, and I think it is. But here's the thing. We can use strategies. We can use methods of serving leadership. We can manipulate our people using it. We can appropriate these techniques, if you will, and they will work to a certain extent. But if we don't get the heart right, we don't get anything right. It's all a matter of the heart. We simply end up manipulating people to get what we want, rather than truly serving them in the mission that we're called to serve. Leadership begins in the heart.